we're talking about teachers, I would be remiss if I didn't ask you, because I noticed something in your bio that I know that a lot of the folks that listen to the show are either teachers or have been inspired by teachers who taught them writing. And you had a senior high school English teacher, right? I want to get it right. You should be an author at the top of a personal essay. Is that right?
Yeah.
So for all those teachers that are listening, how did that inspire you to become an author, and how long did the process take from there?
So it took forever from there, but I don't know. Teachers have so much power in encouraging kids to look at themselves in ways that they never had before. I was an avid reader. I read all the time. In fact, I feel like reading saved me in junior high when it was kind of a scary time and kids can be kind of mean to each other. I felt like I kind of retreated into books. And it kind of carried me through some hard times in high school. So I loved to read. And I think it's funny because my daughter is 17 and she wants to become a writer and an agent or an editor. And it's interesting, her and her friend both like to write. But I think because they're avid readers, they have this innate understanding of how writing works, how stories work, because they've read so much. And they've also analyze so much, like what works and what doesn't. So when I read their work, I'm always kind of blown away at how they know how to write. And I think that that's probably, I was a reader, and so writing was something that I just wanted to do naturally. And I wrote, it was a personal essay, and she left that comment on my paper, and I just, it was a huge compliment. So I remember just floating, glowing for the rest of the day. And then just having that realization, oh, that's something I can do. I loved writers, admired writers, but I couldn't imagine that I could become one of them. And so that was the first time that I realized that that was something that I could actually become or do because of a teacher. And so, yeah, teachers are amazing. I love teachers, librarians, all that they do to inspire and encourage kids. I wish that they could recognize their impact. I wish that I could even go back to this teacher. I've tried to find her and just to let her know how much what she said meant to me.
So you get that note, and then that starts the wheels turning. Oh, I could be an author. So how long from then until you write your first bona fide piece of fiction?
So shortly after that, so I was a senior in English, and I was a senior in high school, and then I went to college and started taking all these English classes. And I remember my counselor called me in, and she was like, "Look, I'm not going to make you declare a major, but let's just say English for now." And I never went back. So I became an English major. I had a teacher who was a great mentor when I was at school, who taught creative writing classes and a writing for publication class. And he asked us in the course of a semester to write a novel. I didn't finish it in the semester, but I went home that summer and I did, and it was really horrible. But I think that those first books that you write, well, some people break out with their first books, and that's amazing to me. But I think that writing a novel can be a great exercise on how to write a novel. Like, you're never going to learn how to write a novel unless you actually do. You can read books about it, but the best way to learn how to write a novel is to try to write a novel. And so, so that was in college. I was probably 21 at the time. But then for graduate school, I wrote short stories. And my thesis was a compilation of short stories. And then I got my master's degree and I got married, and it was a really hard marriage, and I didn't write for a really long time. It was kind of a dark time. And it wasn't until I started to have kids and I was doing this blog, this mommy blog, that I thought, I wonder if that could be something. And that's what became my column. And so I had a column for about 10 years. Most of it covered my time as a single mom, but it, like I said, it really helped me to write creatively, even though it wasn't fiction. It was still, I think, using that part of my brain and practicing. And so I think that was super helpful. Plus, I have all these crazy stories I would have forgotten about my kids when they were little, and, doing embarrassing things that I can now share with them.
And so you can go back and read it and relive the highlights of their childhoods.
Yeah. Oh, and I didn't finish. So I guess I should probably finish. So it wasn't until So I was a single mom and I freelanced and I had that column. And it wasn't until I remarried that things kind of calmed down and I wasn't in charge of taking care of everybody all the time, that I asked him, I was like, would it be okay if I just wrote fiction? And I quit freelance and I went back to writing fiction. I wrote the second really bad novel, the YA novel that's set in Hawaii that you mentioned. It's horrible. But again, just practice it, learning how to write a novel. And then I think I even
tried to
at least
go to Hawaii for a little bit of research.
No, I actually graduated from BYU Hawaii, and so that's
okay.
that's where that love came from. I was just trying to reminisce, but I think I even tried to query that, and I'm just almost embarrassed that anybody even tried to read that. And then I got the idea for Kazu Jones. Only at the time it was My Paper Route and Other Deadly Things, and so how long was that? 25 years.